welcome fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests. What an important topic that we'll be discussing today, the Pathways Mentor Program. However, I'm actually going to start with a story about anatomy. You're going to get more than you bargained for. As a matter of fact, it has to do with my first Toastmasters meeting. My first time ever attending. I showed up an hour and a half early to make sure that I wouldn't be late. And I was given the opportunity to speak in table topics. I was absolutely petrified and mystified at this entire experience. I thought to myself, what if I don't know the answer to this question? Or what if in my nervousness I just say something completely inappropriate? Well, I did give my presentation. I have no idea what was on, but the reason the anatomy comes about is I've always thought that the heart was located in the chest on the left side. However, what I did find out is that actually my heart is located in my throat. It was throbbing. Oh my goodness. I got tunnel vision. My throat was throbbing, but it was a thrill. And I said, I'm coming back and I'm going to do this again. Fellow Toastmasters, I had no idea that I would be someday giving a D7 webinar 10 years later, but this did not happen by chance. This really included mentoring, growth, connection, and I think that's the essence of what we are working with today. The name of this webinar is Pathways Mentor Program, Recipe for Success. The topics we're going to cover: first and foremost, getting started in the Pathways Mentor Program. Secondly, the two essential roles in the Pathways Mentor Program are mentor and protege. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the benefits for each role. Finally, we're going to really take a deep dive into the projects and tools offered in the program. Who will this Pathways Mentor Program webinar help? We're going to be talking about these two essential roles: prospective mentors as well as prospective proteges. Let's maybe define these. These words are sometimes thrown around and we're just supposed to know what they mean. Well, it just so happens that each of us that are enrolled in Pathways, when we do our level 2 project, which we're all required to do, it's called Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. And the way that it's defined in there, you might recall reading through that if you've been through it, or you will see it soon enough. A mentor is defined as an experienced member who provides guidance and support to empower proteges to reach their goals. Then what is a protege? What is this mysterious word? It is simply any member who seeks guidance and support from a mentor to reach his or her goals. Why would you want to become a mentor or protege? I bet we could all come up with our own answer. Maybe you, coming into Toastmasters, have some professional goals. You are now being given the opportunity to present more at work, or you want to head to the next level in communication and leadership at your job. Maybe you're somebody that just wants to become a better communicator, develop better relationships with your family, your friends, your colleagues. Maybe you want to just meet more friends. The bottom line is, whether you're going to become a mentor, protege in Toastmasters, you want to give or receive encouragement and growth in Toastmasters. And what I'm here to tell you is that both the mentor and the protege give and receive both. Now that I've hopefully tantalized you with desire, wanting to get started if you haven't already, or if you want to present the opportunity to someone else, the eligibility is very important. Well, how do I get involved in the program, and can I do it now? What are the qualifications? Well, for a mentor, you must have completed levels 1 and 2 in any path. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be done over and over again. This is when you achieve level 1 and 2 in a given path, You could be on to the next path, the path after that. Once you do that for the first time, you are now eligible as a mentor in the Pathways Mentor program. For the protege, there really is no requirement, just a desire to learn. With open arms and open hands, I exhort and invite you to join the program, and we're going to discuss how to do this. For mentors, what we need to do is realize that once every Toastmaster has completed level 2 in any path, the option to join will be shown below, what's called suggested learning, at your homepage in Basecamp. We are going to show you a screenshot of this and be a little bit more explicit, but I just want to put that out there. Before we jump into this, there's something that I think is really important that I tell you about and that we all know about, which is there is no additional cost for this curriculum. You might recall, if you want to bring on additional paths, it is a $20 fee that comes along. For the Pathways Mentor program, there is no additional cost for this invaluable curriculum. As promised, here is the screenshot. I am assuming some basic knowledge about how to log into Basecamp, that sort of thing. What you at this point would have done is logged into Toastmasters.org. You would have clicked on Pathways and then log into Basecamp. Once you do that, this is the screen. It's called the home screen in your Basecamp. And you can hopefully see the circle around home, showing that it is, in fact, the home screen. Now, if you scroll further down and look to the left, you will see suggested learning. Now, because I'm already in the Pathways Mentor program, it simply just says no suggested training. However, if you have not joined yet, it will display Pathways Mentor program. Once you click on that, that will be the way to get started in the Pathways Mentor program. Once this has taken place and Basecamp recognizes that you are now involved in the program, and again, it is cost-free, there's no extra cost. No matter how many paths you're doing, it's always cost-free. Where you're going to find this is no longer at the home screen, but it's paths in learning. You might say, what is that again? That's where you go every time you access whatever path you're in. For example, one of my paths is dynamic leadership. And if you look down at the bottom of my screen, you'll see dynamic leadership. And just below that, you'll see Pathways Mentor Program. It's right next to it. And if you think about the logic, it's called paths and learning. Another way to think of it is, what curriculums are we discussing? Pathways Mentor Program. Of course it would be included there. Once you might remember this in Basecamp, once you activate, just like you would any other path, you have to activate it first. Once you do that, and then you open the curriculum, this is what you will see. Now, you'll notice some check marks on these top three. That's because I have completed those, and I'm showing you my screenshot. When you do this for the first time, you will not see those check marks. And you'll also see activate on the first project. The other aspect that I really want to bring to your attention is that you can only access one project at a time. So when you're doing the first one, you will not have access to Prepare to Mentor, mentoring, advanced mentoring, certainly not Pathways Mentor Program completion. It is a one-at-a-time situation. We are going to talk about each of these, but I wanted to let you know that. So if you only seem to have access to one at a time, that is the current design. I might actually exhort changing that at some point, but that is a topic for another time. But at this time, this is how it is. You have access to one at a time, not the full program. Now, since we're talking about how do you join if you're a protege? What they recommend, and I totally agree with, is to let your club vice president education know that you are interested. I do want to expound on this just a little bit because really the Pathways Mentor Program is still fairly new. And not every club has mentoring included in what they offer. So does that mean a protege should not have access to the program? They have to wait till someone comes along? I'm not so sure I would agree with that. Now, it is sort of by implication listed as a requirement, but I am going to share with you my thoughts, my views. This is Dave Bones. You, of course, need to decide for yourself, but I don't see that as a hard requirement. I've done both. I've mentored people that are inside my club. I've also done it outside my club. I don't think that my mentoring has been sacrificed in any way by not having it take place at my club. I think it's only enhanced my learning and certainly the learning of the protege, provided it's a positive and just great situation, which it has been. So it's been nothing but wonderful things. On that same idea, additionally, you can ask questions to any district officer or Pathways Proponents Committee member. We were talking earlier about the Pathways Proponents Committee. That is the committee in District 7 designed to help people with pathways, just really make sure that people understand this, and we communicate directly with what's called the Vice President of Pathways. We might even have some in the audience today. And it's a way to support your club, your members in pathways. And it's totally appropriate for you to ask any one of us about this. Each of you, I hope that you know who your division pathways proponent is. I just happen to be the division pathway proponent for Division H, for example. And if you have questions on this, there is contact information at the end. We'll make sure that if you are interested, either as a mentor or protege, you're not sure how to do it, let's make sure that you can get started. Very good. Now we're going to enter into a little bit more depth of the Pathways Mentor Program. There are 4 projects. You just saw those on my screen a little while ago. They just happen to be called Toastmasters Pathways Mentor Program, Prepare to Mentor, Mentoring, Advanced Mentoring. Let's discuss each one individually. The first one, it's called Toastmasters Pathways Mentor Program. It sounds very elaborate. Oh my God, how am I going to be able to do all this? It is actually the simplest one of all, and it's going to be very quick us discussing this, which is it involves reading a one-page overview of the Pathways Mentor Program. Once you've done that, you simply log back into your Basecamp, access the Pathways Mentor Program, and you complete that project like you would any other project in Pathways. Again, for this purpose of this webinar, I am assuming some basic knowledge about Pathways in Basecamp. Although if you have questions, there will be time at the end or through email, that sort of thing, with the contact information provided. The second project, this is a very important one, often overlooked, I think, in importance. And what this is it's an introspective project outlining you as a mentor, your expectations, and draws out your why. Perhaps you've heard that phrase before. Why are you doing this? Why is it meaningful? Why are you passionate about this? Specifically, you, in this project, identify your shorter as well as longer term goals as a mentor. Secondly, you list your expertise and related experience that you would offer to a protege. You might wonder, well, why am I writing this down? I mean, I know who I am. The reason I think it's important is it really may not be top of mind what you bring to the table. I've found this extremely valuable. Depending on how far you want to dedicate to the program, it can sometimes involve, extra time, being comfortable, sometimes even uncomfortable in certain exchanges as you grow, as they grow. And not only what is important to you will come out, but what do you offer? For example, I'm a music teacher, and this is something that I am passionate about, and teaching and relating with people is very exciting to me. So when that time does get difficult, I can refer back and say, wait, I love doing this. Even though it's hard, it's worth it. And then finally, in this project, you will list to have it top of mind. It's not a set of rules that must be followed, but how can you even put it out there until you become clear with it? That's why I think this is so valuable when you talk about the expectations and preferred boundaries for working with a protege, whether it be how much time, when can we meet, uh, in what way? Is it by Zoom? Is it, it might be in person, it might be on the phone. Let's get this figured out. Now we start to really get into the meat of the program. This is the third project, and it's simply called mentoring. Prior to the third project, there has been no mentoring with another person. This has been all about A, you learning about the program, B, introspecting your feelings, your values, information about what you would be doing as a mentor. This one is the first project that involves actually working with a protege. Now, here's that word. It has been, required is the way that it's been written, but I'm going to just staunchly change that to recommended to select a protege from your club. I just don't want to leave any protege left behind. I'm just not willing to do it. And I don't think it detracts from the education opportunity for myself as a mentor or for the potential protege. That is my humble opinion. And I have entered into this particular relationship, but I decided to check out with some district officers higher up in my position, and we discussed it, and it seemed to be a great situation, and nobody's looked back since. It's been amazing. That is my view. We can discuss that in the Q&A if that does end up to be interesting. Again, listed as 2 hours or more per month. They do describe being required in the wording. However, I do think it's also possible to try and fit a square peg into a round hole. That's one of the things that we're going to discuss a little bit later, but I do see it as a guideline. I'll put it that way. There could be times when the protege really needs some extra help, then you will naturally put in a little bit more time. I don't know about you, but I am not a fan of doing meetings for the sake of doing meetings. I'm not going to create busy work. It's just not something I'm willing to do. I'm far too busy, far too passionate. I'll bet there are some folks out here that might agree with me on this. But it really does end up about 2 hours per month anyway. It's just something to keep in mind, and that's why I use the word recommended. I hope I'm not overselling this point, but I just want to really respect your autonomy and the value of this relationship between mentor and protege and how it's an individual situation that you together will decide what is appropriate. Continuing on with this project, really, what is the main requirement? I've been kind of given a hard time to this poor word requirements. What did it ever do to Dave Bones? I am sorry for that. But really, I do see the main requirement being to help a protege complete one Pathways project. That's what it is in the end. Now, this could be a very short assignment, or it could be a longer assignment, but it really is limited as a short-term project to complete one Pathways project. If you decide to help a member do their icebreaker, which many of you probably know is the first speech that we often give in Toastmasters, and if they're kind of quick and that sort of thing, this could be a very short assignment. You get together the week before, make sure that they're feeling comfortable, and then they give the speech. I also have proteges that have done evaluation and feedback, which some of you might know actually involves 3 presentations. The first one being a presentation that they would give, the second being where they would apply the feedback they were given from the first one, and then the third is where they actually give an evaluation. That can take a while, just scheduling it, never mind the extent that you want to internalize this and learn. So it can really be anywhere between a week and 6 months, or more. It just really depends on that situation between protege, mentor. The other aspect of these requirements is just like any uh, project in Pathways, evaluation forms are involved. As a matter of fact, I have an evaluator helping me out tonight. Thank you so much. You know who you are. And the way that it works is both the protege and mentor are given evaluation forms to fill out upon completion. That really ties in the Toastmasters aspect of things, being evaluation perhaps being the most important thing in Toastmasters. I totally am in support of these two requirements. And then finally, to complete this in your Pathways Mentor program project, the mentor gives a reflective speech after the assignment is done, just like so many of your projects I'm sure that you've already done. It's kind of saying, how did it go? You give a 5 to 7 minute speech, and that's the final aspect of completing the mentoring project, which is your third project in the Pathways Mentor program. Now, there are some really specific and excellent tools given to help you with this relationship. It's not just a matter of checking off the box, but they try to give you some tools that I think are quite innovative. And in my experience in Toastmasters through the years, these were missing. We were just kind of said, well, you're supposed to do mentoring as part of your assignment. Good luck. And what I like about these tools is it really provides a framework for communication, planning, and feedback. There are some specific forms I'd like to tell you about. The forms that you would give the protege are one, it's called the protege self-assessment. They list things like mentor expectations. What do they expect from you? Boundary preferences. What are their goals? Whether it be, now they list it as short, medium, and long. And then they have another one specifically set up. It's called the Protege Success Plan, more on goals. Now, this might seem like a lot to do one Pathways presentation in a certain situation. I would actually agree with that. We're going to talk a little bit more about scenarios of protege mentor and what is appropriate for the individualized situation, but it is amazing to know that these tools are here. More tools, more tools. There are a lot of tools. This is one that can also be very useful. It's called the Mentor Communication Tracking Log. And this is for the mentor to fill out. Again, there are variations on how to do this, but specifically the tracking form has a category for the date, the topics, the action items, and notes regarding what was discussed at your session. Once you have done this, you've completed the third project. Now we're off to the fourth one, and this is the final one, advanced mentoring. Now, the thing that really stands out is the third project involved a specific goal of completing one Pathways project. And at the end of the third project, there is a question in the evaluation that says, would you like to continue with this mentor to the more involved advanced mentoring assignment? So now this fourth one is specifically a 6-month commitment. This could involve doing one project, or it can involve multiple projects. It is much more open-ended. What they, I think, intended with the previous project was to give just a generally shorter term assignment so you can get your feet wet as a mentor, as a protege, and also make an educated decision. Do you want to head to the next level of this advanced mentoring assignment? They also specifically open it up where a protege can be with a fellow Toastmaster or a non-member. In other words, if I'm a mentor in the Pathways Mentor program, maybe I've come across a troubled youth that could use some direction. He or she would like to progress on a given goal. Or maybe it's tutoring in mathematics. I don't know, I'm just making this up. But the point is that with the communication tools, the planning tools, outlining goals, it really is the medicine to cure what ails you in so many different areas in life. These tools can really help even beyond Toastmasters. Or with that same protege that you started with, that short-term assignment into a longer-term assignment. Or for that matter, another Toastmaster that is certain that they want the long-term commitment. Me personally, when I am approached or if it seems like a good situation, I always start a protege off with the short-term assignment, even though I've already done that in my curriculum. I just find it's still a good entry point. You'll decide what is best for you. This is the final project in the Pathways Mentor program. Now, of course, we have project communication, planning, and feedback tools. There's really only one new one from the last project you did. It's simply called the monthly goal check. It's where you, just like an evaluation, talk about what's currently going well, what strengths are happening, as well as opportunities for improving further. I must admit, I need to grow into this. I have a couple of advanced proteges. We're doing the advanced mentoring project, and we haven't done this at all. So please, if you're listening, keep me accountable. Let's do this form. Let's get this in if we can. And then, of course, the implication is we want to include all the previous forms from the third project. In some ways, I think some of those forms are more appropriate for the advanced mentoring assignment. That'll be for you to decide, of course. We're coming into the home stretch of what the Pathways Mentor program completion involves, as well as the Pathways Mentor designation, which is a little different. We're going to talk about both. To complete the Pathways Mentor program, and I'm using that in the technical sense of completing your project. We talked about this many times in Pathways, I'm sure. You need to do this in Basecamp as the member. Go in and complete it as you normally would a project, or a level in this case. It's more similar to a level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because then your vice president of education or Basecamp manager would then approve your completion of the Pathways Mentor program in Basecamp. If you have any Basecamp managers out there with questions, please ask me later. Love to talk about that. And then, just like our other level completions, we have to make sure that the VPE or club officer submits the award in Club Central. So it has to be both things. Other than that, it does not get that validity of having completed the program within the full sense of it within Toastmasters International. Now, the Pathways Mentor designation, this is a little bit more involved, but luckily, the first requirement is that you complete the Pathways Mentor program. The second is that you have completed at least one entire path. For example, at this point, I've completed 2 paths, and that would allow me at some point to get my Pathways Mentor designation. And then your membership as well needs to be in good standing for 6 months. Once those 3 criteria have been met, then you can get that Pathways Mentor designation. We've talked about this a little bit ahead of time, where we look at the project tools to guide, not as a requirement. Have you picked up on the fact that it is a pet peeve of mine to just check things off, to check it off, or to do a meeting because we're supposed to do a meeting? That is a way to make Dave Bones very unhappy. But let's put it in the positive. A way to make Dave Bones very happy is let's find meaning in what it is we're trying to do. Hence, these are amazing tools. Let's let them be a guide for ways that we can go, but not a checklist. Let's let it be special. Let's not erase that special quality by treating it as less than what it is. It is my individual opinion. You'll, of course, please make your own decision. I'm not trying to make that decision for you. Let's put this into a couple of scenarios. Now, this is really going to be an example, but sort of combined. There are 2 scenarios I'm going to run by you. And just for the sake of anonymity, I'm just going to kind of take aspects of different situations that I've been in, mix it up. So that way we're not putting anybody on the spot for a given situation. It really will not apply in one situation at all. I just want to be clear about that. But let's just say that we have a newer member that is really busy, that is kind of intrigued with the idea of mentoring, but they're already on the edge of, I don't know if I have time for this. Let's see what it is. Well, I wanted to be that person that followed the rules. When they asked me about it, I said, certainly. And I proceeded to over communicate. I sent them both tools, the success tools, for the Protege that we talked about earlier. They're pages and pages worth. And what they did is politely responded after I tried to give them all of these tools. And the prospective Protege ran the other way fast. And now I understand, having made that mistake. Now, this won't be the same for everybody. I'm saying in a given situation, right? What I wasn't realizing at the time is that prospective Protege was overloaded. I think what it would have been better to do with that individual, if I could have picked up on things a little bit better about how busy they were, start with the bare minimum. So, Dave, what's involved in this Pathways Mentor program? Oh, no problem. Go ahead and pick a Pathways project. We'll complete it together. And if you have questions along the way, we'll do that. How's that sound? Should we get started? That's really what I should have done, in my view. Now, the second one could be that person that just thrives in an environment of details, of intellectual stimulation. Now, I would treat that differently, as I'm sure you can imagine. We talked about this idea of not necessarily trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So what I might do with them would be a combination of the big picture, which I've got reams and reams of data of all this stuff. And maybe they would like a little bit of it. I'm not going to give them the whole thing, that's for sure. But we would get into depth. I've definitely had the situation where it was incredibly rewarding, where we got into the subtle aspects of whether it be meeting roles, whether it be specifically the project that they're working on. It is so fun. Can you tell I do like that a little bit? I do have that predilection. But the point is that if you're both sharing this, then that's a good way to go. But it really, in my opinion, needs to be that win-win scenario in that. Really what I'm trying to say is be flexible, per situation. It really is individualized. And that's the beauty of the program. I think these tools are meant to be open-ended. And I just hope that this becomes more and more clear to folks that join the program. Some people might really gravitate toward the intellectual information. Others, to be honest, are going to just be really looking for that emotional support. They would be not interested to get into all of the subtleties of each of the things that you can discuss, or the components. But they just want to have a real experience. They want to challenge themselves. They want to maybe receive a little bit of comfort in those times that are challenging. Or maybe the opposite. They want to be challenged. They want to get emotionally involved. So help them in that way. And then others might have very specific goals and tasks. In other words, they want to work on this. The things that you might think are very important to work on might not be what they think is important. And guess what? That's not going to work if you try and force that agenda. I kind of speak from experience. I hope I've been at least gracious, but I have certainly made that mistake of thinking that, oh, this is the curriculum. Can we work on this? And what I have learned along the way is let them really be the guide in this curriculum, but then you support with your fundamentals, the intellectual and emotional support the best that you can. And then others might need a little bit of drawing out. They might need more direction. It could be like that brand new Toastmaster in the back of the room that is just quiet. They don't come out and start making conversation. Hopefully, maybe what some of us might do would be to just introduce yourself if it seemed appropriate. Just say what brought you to Toastmasters, and this could take place, before or after the meeting. But the point is, we want to draw certain people out that might need that direction. Or maybe they're just somebody that's like, I love the idea of doing this. I don't even know what to do or what goals. Then you start talking, you elicit more information and make it meaningful and real for them. I hope I've gotten you kind of fired up about this. We're going to talk more, but here's what some people have said about the Pathways Mentor program. Jake, as a protege, having a mentor has helped me find direction and grow much more quickly in Toastmasters. I know how to make use of the Pathways curriculum to meet my own goals, and my mentor has supported me to pursue personal passions. I want to try being a mentor. I love this. This is so satisfying and exciting to see this. When you start by teaching somebody and now they want to teach others. Like this, wow, I just get chills thinking about it. Awesome, Jake. Hemi, as a protege, my goal is to be a better speaker, and my mentor guides me through the Pathways program such that the plethora, good word of the day for another Toastmasters meeting, I think, of information doesn't intimidate me. He also supports through my journey of public speaking. Fabulous. Just absolutely fabulous. Asha as a protege. Prior to joining the Pathways Mentor Program, I was hardly able to navigate through the various resourceful material out there on the Toastmasters.org website, including knowing my own chosen path. My mentor helped me not only in understanding how a path progresses, but also set me up for success in accomplishing my level 1 in the Chosen Pathways program. Wow, excellent, Asha. I've also developed confidence where every project I look forward to now. I'm lucky to have found this mentorship program. Wow, this is why we do it. This is wonderful. Gwendolyn, as both a mentor and protege, I've benefited in 3 specific ways in the Pathways Mentor program. As a mentor, I've been able to help my protege set personal and professional goals for growth within Toastmasters and to use in his everyday business model. As a protege, I've learned about my strengths and weaknesses in leadership and public speaking. Also, I developed a plan for using my strengths and improving my weaknesses. My active listening skills have been greatly enhanced in the Pathways Mentor program, both as a mentor and protege. Finally, Suzanne is a mentor. Becoming a mentor has made a big difference in my Toastmaster journey. Helping my protege has helped me find and fill the gaps in my Toastmasters knowledge and leadership skills. The time commitment is worth it. Wonderful. We do have an incentive with District 7. Eldred, our program quality director, can tell us more about this, or you can reach out to him. It's the Pathways Mentor program be completed by June 30th. If you've already been doing it, we are supporting you in that journey. You will be entered into a drawing for, drum roll please, in your silent way, a Toastmasters core jacket. But that's not all. More drum roll please. Toastmasters cardigan sweater. And if that doesn't work, there's still another drum roll please. Toastmasters hero hoodie. Lots of prizes, lots of incentives to finish within the program. At this point, we've done the recap, or we're doing the recap, I should say. We talked about how to get started in the Pathways Mentor program. We talked about the benefits for both mentors and proteges. We've discussed in some detail the projects and tools offered in the Pathways Mentor program. And finally, Dave Bones' exhortation, take it for what it is. The tools are a guide, not a list of requirements. If you have further questions, I am going to refer you, please, directly to my Pathways Proponents Committee chair. Her name is Dr. Gwendolyn Avington. She's an excellent resource, continual inspiration for me, and I think a truly beneficent force in D7 for Pathways and for mentoring in general. Her email address is listed. I thank you so much for your time this evening and look forward to questions. Thank you.